Hair all right, yeah? What do you reckon? Is the hairline good, yeah? Okay guys, welcome back. We are in today, Easter Sunday leg session, birthday leg session for me as well. So we have hamstring dominant legs today. So basically, what I'm gonna go through in this video is 3 main hamstring movements, which I would make sure I have in to grow big hamstrings. So that's what I'll take you through today. Currently, we are into the 3rd week of prep now, so 2 weeks fully boxed off. Going into the 3rd week, 0 changes to anything so far. The exact same setup. We took an initial drop off of food in the 1st week, and now we've just held things for the first kind of 2 weeks. So weight has dropped an initial 2.5 kilo, which is mainly down to kind of like fluid volume in the gut, water retention, inflammation, and a little bit of body fat as well. So a nice little spike, or a nice little drop down over the first initial couple of weeks, which again, that rate of loss should start to pick up now over the next while. We're just taking our time with this. We're not rushing it. It's a long prep. It's 21 weeks out from here. So we're just going to really take our time and really try and hold onto this tissue that we have built over the past few years. So that is the goal, just taking our time and gradually pulling things down. So yeah, into the 3rd week, things are flying so far. Everything's running super smooth. Mindset is in a good spot. Body is feeling good. No injuries at the moment as well. So 0 complaints. Okay, so first up, we are running with adductor. So we'll do 2 sets on this, in between 12 to 15 reps. Nothing too heavy. Like I said, trying to keep that in a higher rep range there. So 2 sets here, and then we'll go on to our main hamstring work, which I'm going to run through with you. Thank you. Right guys, so the first movement, which I would definitely have in your program if you are looking to bring up your hamstrings, is the lying hamstring curl. So when we look at the function of the hamstring, so we think of movements that work the hamstring where we curl, so a hamstring curl which is going to contract the hamstring, or kind of hip extension movements where, such as a hinge, where you're going to drive the hips back and really lengthen the hamstring. So this one obviously is going to really get it short. So take a look at the way we're doing it here. Don't throw the weight around, take your time, control the weight down, slowly drag the weight, not slowly drag the weight up, but drag it, don't kick it. So instead of getting to the bottom and launching it up, drag it with some intent and some aggression. I'll go through it now and I'll go through a few bits. So you will see when I'm doing this, I'm fully lengthening the hamstring as I come down into the stretch. From that stretch position, I'm getting a slight pause in there, keeping the tension on, and then when I come back up, I'm being aggressive with it, but I'm making sure I'm not kicking it, and it's all through my hamstring. So it's very easy to put weight on this and just kick it up and down, but take your time. If that hamstring isn't feeling like a deep contraction, like realistically, where is feeling it? Glutes, or glutes lower back, you know, are your hamstrings working or are other body parts taking over? So yes, it's a great movement, but are you working your hamstrings or are you working your ego? Let's go. That's the right, yeah, complete it. Pull down. Oh, fucking hell, man. So especially on this, if you do feel like you're doing a set of 10, you're getting to like 6 or 7 reps, and the last few reps you're just kind of kicking up for the sake of it, you know, don't be afraid to drop that load down a little bit more and making sure that you're trying to stay in that struggle for the whole set, if that makes sense. So when it starts to get difficult around 6 or 7, don't just use your momentum to throw that way up. Try stick with that and grind them last couple of reps out with the same execution. That's where you're going to see the results come from. When it starts to get hard, lean into it rather than trying to pull away from it, if that makes sense. Last thing with the hamstring curl, one little tip is when you're putting yourself onto the pads, I like my knees just hanging off the edge of it a little bit. I don't like my knees up on the pad. If your quads are on the pad and your knees are just hanging off a little bit, for me, that is perfect. I don't like them off too much, or I don't like them on the pad, just off it slightly. Just a little cue, something very small, but I feel like that's a really, really good position for me to be in personally, so try it. So second movement that I feel like you should be doing if you want to see hamstring development here is our RDLs, okay? Not only RDLs, but any sort of hip hinge where you're really lengthening that hamstring. So a dumbbell RDL, a barbell RDL, and even an SLDL, kind of whatever you prefer and whatever you kind of connect with best. Today we are doing a dumbbell RDL. So this allows us to really lengthen that hamstring in the stretch, and obviously handle a decent amount of load through the hamstring as well within doing so. So today we're going to run dumbbells. I find with dumbbells, the bar isn't fixed in front of you, so the dumbbells can travel whatever way you feel comfortable. So for us, we like to bring them like at a slight angle down the side of our legs. It's just where they fall. Whereas with a barbell, you're fixed in that position, so there's not much give. The only thing is with dumbbells, they only go so heavy, so you can only progress them so much until you have to use the likes of a barbell to get more load. But right now, we're just trying to make these super, super difficult, really controlling the eccentric and getting the most out of it, and just making them as hard as possible. So we worked with 70s last week for our first rotation. We're going to work with 72s today. So again, just make them as hard as possible. If I can get 8 reps with this, I got 8 reps with 70s last week, so that will be a nice progression here. Same weight or same reps, but 2 kilo heavier. So yeah, take a look, and I'll go through a couple of cues. Yeah. Last warm up. So with that one, we took 3 warm up sets, 40s, 50s, 60s, and then we will work with 72s. So with your warm up sets, take your time, okay? Some days you may come in, the mind muscle connection may feel amazing, your body feels good, everything is running smoothly. You may only need 2 or 3 warm up sets, great. Some days you may come in and things may not be clicking as much. So on them days, take your time. There is no rush. You're not going to burn energy with your warm-up sets. You're still going to have the energy because we're not putting everything into the warm-up sets. So the working sets, you'll still be able to take them all the way. But if you need to touch 1 or 2 more warm-ups, do it, okay? You're not going to waste energy going into your working sets, but if you're not ready to go into your working sets, you don't take enough warm-ups that you need, you will ruin the working sets. Take your time. Listen to your body, take as many touches as you feel in order to get really fired up mentally, physically, and just making sure that muscle is ready to go as well. Come on. Oh. With an RDL, it's a very commonly butchered exercise, but a couple of main cues that I like to think of here. Number one, I keep my chin tucked. When my chin is tucked, it almost forces me to keep my back neutral. If I'm looking ahead of me in a mirror in front of me, while I'm also trying to push my hips back, it just throws me off completely. So keep your chin tucked, that keeps your spine neutral. As you come down, don't think about coming down and back up. Think about driving them hips as far back as you possibly can. So think about sticking your arse out behind you as much as you can, and then think about driving your hips forwards. So instead of bending over and standing up, just think about hips back and hips forward. You know what I mean? Don't rush through them, make the most of it. You know, if you're stupid with these and you lift city load, etc., you do risk injury. I've done it in the past as well. So trying to make the most of each rep, making them difficult and having full control is super important. With both of our sets, you probably would have seen that, like realistically, if we just went in there and bounced up and down, we probably had we could have done the 80, so we would have had like 2, 3, 4 more reps with them. But would we have got much out of it? Ego-wise, yeah, great. But in terms of stimulating the hamstrings, not as much as what we did there. So again, load builds muscle to an extent, but if it's load without proper accuracy, you're better off just pulling back a little bit, getting accurate, and then slowly building the weight back up. When I am thinking about kind of going into the eccentric, I'll try and keep them dumbbells or barbell as close as possible without letting them rub off my leg or kind of touch off my leg. Because when you're coming down with a dumbbell or a barbell and you're almost like resting on your leg as you go down, I feel like it allows you to kind of handle more loads without necessarily loading the hamstrings properly. So by keeping them slightly away from the body, slightly away from the leg, I think it allows you to load the hamstring correctly, get full range with it without kind of trying to pull it up off your leg. So just think about it. You know, if you do it against your leg, think about just out in front a touch, and I guarantee you will feel a deeper stretch and probably better contraction, and you probably won't be able to go as heavy, but it will feel a lot better. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay, so the third movement to obviously develop better hamstrings is a seated hamstring curl. So again, another movement where we can really get the hamstring short. A couple of things to look at with this as well, okay? A lot of the time, when people do this, again, may go a little bit too heavy, and you would see that the lower back will arch in or the hips will start to shoot forwards. If this does happen to you, it's the number one sign that it is a little bit too heavy and there's other body parts trying to take over the movement as well. So you will see in this, I'm bracing against the pad, pushing myself back into the seat, not letting the hips come forward or the lower back arch, and then that is strictly hamstrings. And yes, it's more difficult to do this, but again, like I said before, we're trying to lean into that discomfort and making it difficult rather than just trying to get more reps, just to actually get more reps with logbook. So I'll run through a couple more tips in a second when I'm doing it, but seated hamstring curl is the third one. As you saw there, what Kuba said as well, tiny touch. The last rep, I was like 50-50, so he just guided me with that just to help me finish that rep. So if someone's spotting you and they're taking 3-4 reps off you, realistically, what are you doing? Are you doing any of the work? I think 1 or 2, kind of giving you 50% or less of the rep, I think you can get a lot more out of it, pushing past failure that way. But if it's 3, 4, 5 reps and they're taking the whole weight, like, is it going to be productive? And with those 3 movements, your line curl, your hinge, which is an RDL, and your seated curl, I'm not saying you have to do every single one of them in a session, but personally, I would have, you know, one of the curls and some sort of hinge in, maybe not in the same session, maybe in 2 sessions across the week, but I would certainly have a curl and a hinge in. Like I said, really trying to get that hamstring short in a curl, and then really trying to lengthen that hamstring and extend the hips then in a hinge. So 3 of them movements are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck in regards to hamstring developments, but not just doing these movements and moving the weight, as I always say. Proper form, proper range of motion, proper execution, while still taking the failure, as you've seen us do today. I know I repeat myself over and over again about the execution side of things, but I feel like that's what's taken me from making okay progress to really making really good progress over the past 2 years. But really kind of relating back to what I was saying earlier on, when we were doing adductors, you know, the same goes for every other exercise as well. If you are doing one set and then your second set is like the same weight, same reps, like that is the sign to start pushing yourself a little bit more and start to increase the weight on that first set, you know, because if you are hitting a weight on the first set, the second set should not be the same weight and the same reps because that fatigue will kick in. So push yourself a little bit more. Taking yourself within proximity of failure is what's going to drive you forward in terms of building that muscle. So if you're not training within that proximity of failure on each of them sets, you know, you're selling yourself short in terms of your potential and in terms of the return you're getting for your time spent in the gym. I went on a walk the other day and I came back into the house and I literally thought I stood in shit. I was like, what the fuck is that smell? And that's how bad these are. But fuck it. I'm gonna have to order a new pair because when you wash them, they smell it just as bad when you actually take them out. So I just have to get a new pair, but I just keep forgetting. But they're so fucking bad. That pendulum, obviously, that's not hamstring biased. It's actually more so quads. If you see, like, we're really getting a lot of knee flexion, really loading the quads as hard as we possibly can. It's a hamstring biased session, but we still have quads in it, okay? So we have the hamstring movement at the start. We really get the most out of them while we're fresh. We have, like, you know, the most amount of energy and focus. And then towards the back end, then we have pendulum for one set and single leg press for one set, which will be kind of glute, hamstring. This is mostly quad, a lot of knee flexion with this. So it's not solely hamstrings, but it's hamstring biased, which is why you'll see us doing a couple of quad movements now as well. So we have the single leg press in here now at the end. This previously was walking lunges that we had in, but with walking lunges, it was taking a lot out of us. It was taking a lot of recovery time. We weren't really recovering at all. So basically what we've done is we chose a less systemically fatiguing movement, such as a single leg press. So we still get that same stimulus, but we aren't completely fucked. And we can actually recover in time for our next leg day as well. So we're getting stronger in the lunges. We're starting to get little niggles and stuff joint-wise, so it was smart to pull them out and just put, you know, a fixed single leg movement in, which we can get a lot out of, but isn't gonna destroy us and affect recovery for the next session. Okay. Okay. 1. So, training will not be the main driving factor of your fat loss, but it will play a part in it. So, what a lot of people try and do is to burn more fat. They will just add in more sets, more reps, thinking that doing more is going to help them burn more calories and achieve fat loss. But if we're looking at things, adding more sets and more reps for the sake of it, with low quality and intensity, isn't necessarily going to burn many calories. By actually doing, fewer sets with higher quality and higher intensity, and actually taking them sets to failure, that will actually have a much greater benefit on fat loss in comparison to just trying to get a sweat on, run around the gym, do plenty of sets as well. So, like I said, your weight sessions won't be, the main determinant factor of your fat loss. That will come down to your, obviously, calories and your need, your expenditure. But for the small impact it does have, don't just focus on doing more sets to try and burn fat. The intensity of your sessions, the intensity of the sets you are doing will take you forward in that department a lot further. Another reason why you should aim to keep that intensity high within dieting phases, because that intensity is going to hold onto the muscle tissue that you have and you have built during an off season. If you just try to do more reps, more sets, etc. as well, that volume without intensity is not going to hold onto the muscle that we have. You know what I mean? So if we're lightening the loads, doing plenty of reps, plenty of sets with no intensity, that will, stand a much greater chance in actually losing the muscle tissue that we currently have. Okay. There we go. Right guys, so you will see t-shirts, shorts, socks, they're all from a new brand which is going to be released soon called Oversized. So I think it actually goes live on the 28th of this month. So I know the guys who run it very, very well, and I know how much has gone into it and the quality of the clothing they are bringing out as well. And I fully believe that this will be some of the best gym kit, in the game going forward as well. So, I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. I'm going to be wearing it. I've seen the quality, I've seen the work that's gone into it. So keep an eye out for that. I'll actually link them below. But you'll see for yourself some very, 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 very nice clothing. But yeah, other than that, guys, that is today's video. So basically a leg session, focusing on the 3 main hamstring movements that I would look at implementing to develop your hamstrings. 3rd week into prep now as well. Like I said, every week I will have a video coming out as well. So like, share, subscribe. Please do share if you enjoyed them or find them beneficial. It would go a long way. I'd appreciate it. But thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it, and I will see you soon.